All right. So, sometimes it feels like pulling teeth, just trying to get your teenager to do like anything at all.
Well, tell me about it.
But, maybe there's a better way than just, yelling and pleading.
Well, there might be,
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening.
So today we're going to dive into this idea of positive patience.
Positive patience. Okay, that sounds kind of interesting, but I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
When I think teenagers, I don't exactly think patience. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I hear ya. It's not exactly the first word that comes to mind, right?
No, not really. So where did you come across this idea?
Well, it's from this article I found, and the title's in Arabic.
Oh, wow.
It's Kaifa Taksebu Sabra Waladaka El Maraik.
Okay.
And it basically translates to how to earn your teenage child's patience.
Earn their patience.
Yeah, it's like we're flipping the script on the usual parenting advice.
Instead of us learning to deal with them,
Right,
they learn patience from us.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool concept, right?
I'm intrigued for sure, but how does that even work?
Well, the author actually admits to not being a naturally patient person herself.
Okay, so she's speaking from experience then.
Yeah, she is.
Mm.
And she lays out these 6 specific stages to cultivate patience in your teenager.
6 stages, huh? Sounds almost like a recipe.
It kind of is. It's like a step-by-step guide to more peaceful interactions.
All right, I'm ready to start cooking. So what's stage 1?
Well, it all starts with getting your teen's attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the article makes this point that, just yelling from across the house, like, take out the trash, it just doesn't work,
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. It's like they have selective hearing or something.
right? They've mastered the art of tuning us out.
Exactly. So how do we break through that wall of teenage indifference?
Stage 1 is called stop and approach. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. You actually go to your teenager, you make eye contact, and you speak to them directly.
So it's about being present, not just shouting commands from the other room.
Right. It's about respect
Yeah.
and about making sure they're actually present in the conversation, too.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see how that would at least get their attention.
Yeah.
But what's next?
Stage 2 is called full attention. You wait for them to make eye contact with you.
Oh, so it's not enough for them to just glance in my direction?
Nope. You're waiting for that real connection, that moment where they're actually listening.
Interesting. So we're not demanding their attention. We're respectfully waiting for them to offer it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it sets a totally different tone.
Okay. I'm liking this so far. What's stage 3?
Stage 3 is clear request. So this is where you make a simple direct request using really clear language. Like instead of saying, your room's a disaster, you might say, I need you to clean your room before dinner.
Ah, so no room for misinterpretation there.
Exactly. You want to be super clear about what you're asking.
Okay, that's good advice in general, not just for teenagers.
Definitely. And then stage 4 is where things get really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me. What's stage 4?
It's called repeat the request. You actually ask your teenager to repeat back to you what you just asked them to do.
Wait, hold on. Doesn't that sound a little condescending?
I know it might seem that way at first, but the article explains that this technique comes from assertiveness training.
Assertiveness training, huh?
Yeah. It's not about treating them like a little kid.
Okay.
It's about making sure they understand what's expected of them.
Hmm.
And it also kind of gives them a sense of ownership over the task.
So instead of passively listening, they're actively engaging with the request.
Right. You're bringing them into the process.
That's a really interesting idea. All right, I'm hooked. What are the last 2 stages?
Okay, so stage 5 is the real test of patience. It's called wait.
Wait. Just wait.
Yep. You wait for your teenager to actually do the thing you ask them to do. No nagging, no reminding, and definitely no doing it yourself.
Oh, boy. I can already feel my anxiety spiking just thinking about sitting there watching them procrastinate.
I know it's hard, but think of it this way. You're giving them the space to learn and grow. You're trusting them to take responsibility.
Okay, I'm trying to embrace the trust part, but what if they just never get around to it?
Well, that's where the final stage comes in stage 6, is encourage.
Encourage. Even if they didn't actually do what I asked.
Well, you acknowledge their effort, and you show appreciation even if the task wasn't done perfectly.
So instead of focusing on what they didn't do, I focus on what they did do, even if it's just a small step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're recognizing their effort and celebrating their progress, however small.
That's a pretty powerful shift in perspective. All right, I gotta admit, these 6 stages are starting to make sense, but I'm really curious to see how this plays out in real life. Can we dig into an example?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've got these 6 stages of positive patience, right?
Right.
But I'm really curious to see it in action, not just as a theory.
Yeah, for sure.
Did the author actually like try this out herself?
She did. She actually tells this really great story about her son in the article.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she'd had a long day, was feeling super stressed, and really needed his help with some chores around the house.
I feel that.
But he was, like, totally absorbed in his schoolwork,
Oh, yeah.
and she knew that, like, just barking orders at him wasn't going to go over well.
Yeah, that's the classic parent-teenager standoff, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So instead of losing it,
Mhm.
she decided to put the 6 stages to the test.
Okay, so what does she do?
Well, first she went to his room, right? And she just waited patiently for him to look up from his books.
Hmm. No interrupting, no like passive-aggressive sighing.
Nope, just quiet presence.
Okay, so that's stages 1 and 2, stop and approach and full attention. But I'm guessing she didn't just jump straight into a chore list.
You're right about that.
Hmm.
This is where it gets kind of interesting. Instead of, like, launching into a request, she thanked him.
She thanked him, but he hadn't done anything yet.
Exactly. But she thanked him for helping clear the table earlier, even though he'd been tired and had a ton of homework.
Oh, wow. So she like totally flipped the script.
Yeah, instead of focusing on what he hadn't done,
Uh-huh.
she focused on what he had already done.
Huh. I can see how that would like instantly shift the dynamic.
Right. It's all about positive reinforcement.
And it sends such a powerful message too, like, hey, I see you, I value you, and I trust you.
Exactly. And that's got to feel a lot better than just being told what to do all the time.
For sure. It's like she's building a foundation of respect instead of just, bossing him around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about more than just getting chores done. It's about building a healthy relationship.
This reminds me of that thing I read about assertiveness training.
Oh, man.
It's not about being aggressive or demanding.
Right.
It's about communicating your needs clearly, but respectfully.
Exactly. And acknowledging the other person's needs, too. It's a two-way street.
Exactly. And this article, like, takes that idea even further.
How so?
Well, it's saying that positive patience isn't just a parenting technique. It's about, like, instilling important values in our teenagers.
Oh, I see.
Things like respect, empathy,
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah, that makes sense.
It's not just about getting them to clean their room.
Right.
It's about helping them become good people.
Exactly. It's about shaping the kind of people they'll be in the world.
And think about it. If they learn to be patient and empathetic with their family,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be that way with their friends, their partners, everyone they interact with.
Absolutely. It's like a ripple effect.
Totally. We're planting these seeds that can grow into something amazing.
I love that analogy.
And it makes me think about how much we underestimate the power of those everyday interactions with our teenagers.
Yeah, we might think we're just nagging them about homework or whatever,
Right.
but really we're shaping their whole worldview.
And that's why this approach is so fascinating. It's like it recognizes the power of those small moments to create real change.
Yeah. It's not about controlling our teenagers.
Uh-huh.
It's about empowering them to make good choices.
And honestly, who among us couldn't use a little more patience in our lives? It's not just a skill for parents. It's a life skill for everyone.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that it benefits both the parent and the teenager.
Right.
Well, parents get a little more peace and quiet, right? And teenagers learn these valuable skills that will help them throughout their lives.
It's a win-win situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
But let's be real, putting this into practice can be tough. We all have those moments where we just lose it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So any advice on how to stay the course, even when things get challenging?
It's like easier said than done, though, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to actually, do it when your teenager's blasting music while you're trying to talk to them or leaving their dirty dishes everywhere.
Right. It's like, how do we actually make this work in the real world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm trying to get my teenager to, I don't know, clean their room.
Okay, classic example.
Yeah, it can be like a huge battle. Where do I even begin?
Remember stage 1, stop and approach.
Yeah.
So instead of yelling from across the house, you actually go to their room.
Okay, deep breaths. I'm in the room now. What?
Now it's stage 2, full attention. So you wait for them to acknowledge you, make eye contact. You're showing them respect by not just barging in and demanding their attention.
Okay. Hopefully they haven't retreated into their headphones. What's next?
Now it's time for stage 3, clear request. You tell them exactly what you need them to do. Like, please clean your room before dinner is way clearer than your room's a mess.
Got it. Direct and to the point. But what if they just hit me with the, yeah, I'll get to it later?
Ah, yes. The classic teenage response. That's where stage 4 comes in. Repeat the request.
Oh,
You ask them, so what are you going to do before dinner?
Okay, so it forces them to actually, like, process the request?
Right. It makes them an active participant instead of just tuning you out.
I like that. Right,
That's,
so they've heard me. They understand what I'm asking. Now comes the hard part, right?
yep, stage 5. Wait. This is where you got to really exercise that positive patience muscle.
Mm-hmm.
No nagging, no reminding, and definitely no cleaning the room yourself.
Ugh, the waiting is so hard. Any tips for not giving in and just doing it myself? It's tough, I know. But try to distract yourself. Do something else. Go for a walk. Read a book. Listen to your music. Remember, you're not just waiting for a clean room. You're waiting for your teenager to learn responsibility.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So let's say they actually do it. They clean their room. Maybe not to my standards, but it's an improvement.
That's progress.
Yeah, what's the final step?
That's stage 6. Encourage. You acknowledge their effort, even if it wasn't perfect. You could say something like, "Thank you for cleaning your room. I appreciate you taking responsibility for your space."
So it's like a positive feedback loop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing the behavior you want to see.
This whole approach feels so different. It's not about controlling them.
Uh-huh.
It's about building a more positive relationship.
Right. And it's about helping them develop important life skills.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it makes me realize that I could use a little more patience in my life too.
Oh, for sure. We
Yeah.
could all benefit from a little more patience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into positive patience,
What's like one thing our listeners can take away from this?
well, I think the biggest thing is to remember that it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's about making small changes and being consistent.
And it's about believing in our teenagers, you know?
Absolutely. They have so much potential.
And even if they drive us crazy sometimes,
Oh, yeah,
they're still learning and growing.
they are. And we can help them along the way.
Thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a really insightful conversation.
It has.
Yeah.
And hopefully our listeners feel equipped to try out some of these techniques.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Right. Just take one step at a time.
And celebrate every little victory.
Absolutely. You got this.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.